Hello and welcome to At the Leadership Table with retired Major General Jim Hoyer. Oftentimes people hear the word leader and they think only of political leaders, but leaders come in many forms, and that's worth exploring. I'm Jim Hoyer, born and raised in West Virginia, a husband, a father, a new grandfather, and a retired military leader, serving for over 40 years in public leadership for our state and nation. Now, the most important mission I have going forward is to educate, motivate, and empower our next generation of leaders. At the leadership table with us today are Nico Caretto and Emma Domingo. They are students at West Virginia University's U92 The Moose college radio station. I'll have to mention it's an award-winning radio station. Nico serves as the assistant sports director and a board director for the station, and Emma serves as a radio disc jockey and a member of the U92 promotions team. And Nico and Emma, it's great to have you with us at the leadership table today.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thanks for having us.
So, going to start by asking you guys the same first question we ask all of our guests, and Emma, we'll start with you. Please share with us a standout moment when you learned something really important about leadership.
Yeah. So I also work for Prospect and Price Creative, our advertising arm here at Student Media. And I recently stepped into a team lead role there. And I definitely learned that leadership isn't one size fit all. Like, you have to be able to adjust, and you have to be able to learn from everyone that you're working with and working for, because if you don't, then your team won't work well. As a well-oiled machine, everyone has different communication styles, different preferences for how you approach them, for how they approach work. So if you don't adjust to your team individually, then your team will not work well.
So a great example of learning about leadership from doing it, right?
Yep, absolutely.
And Nico, how about you? How about a standout moment for you?
I think a lot of it came this year. We've had a lot of games we've had to schedule, things of that sort, and sort of that scheduling conflict thing. It's a sense of you're not going to be able to please everyone with a choice or decision you make about, say, the BYU game we had at the end of February. That one was one that almost everyone wanted to be on, and you can only pick 2 or 3. It's tough, so you have to go off of what you know, what do you think people have in terms of experience and things of that sort, but just the fact that you can't always make everyone happy, but you have to try and make the best decision.
And manage personalities and individual objectives is sometimes hard to do, right?
Yeah, it's not always easy, but I think it's something that day by day it gets a little bit easier to do with who you work with, but it's still tough.
So before we start talking a little bit more about the station and what you guys are doing from that perspective, tell our listeners a little bit about how you each got to West Virginia University. You're both from different parts of the country. Nico, we'll start with you. Where are you from, and what led you to WVU?
So I'm from a little suburb outside of Cleveland called Shaker Heights, Ohio. Up until around my junior year of high school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do for a career. I always knew that I had a good voice, so sports broadcasting was something I was somewhat interested in. I loved watching sports as a kid, watched as much as I could. Eventually, West Virginia University decided to email me when it was, around my junior year, decided to take a visit, fell in love with the place, came here, and then I got an email from our old general manager pretty much inviting us to the orientation that we had. So I went there. From there, I joined. My first semester, I didn't do too much with the station, but once we hit the spring of my freshman year, I really started to do a lot of stuff, try to get better at it, and then from there I've just been working, and now I'm here.
And Emma, how about you?
I was born and raised in Virginia, and growing up, I loved Virginia, but I knew I wanted to get out of state for college. I went to elementary, middle school, high school with all of the same people, and it was nice, but I knew I wanted to get out. So I was like looking at different schools, and I was very interested in sports. I actually did a little bit of sports broadcasting in high school at my local high school, but I didn't know where to go. I was like, I want to go out of state, but I don't really know. And West Virginia came across my map with sports and adventure media, that major. And I was like, wait, I think this is what I really want to do. So I came with my parents and did a tour here and like instantly fell in love. The like scenery. And I feel like it's cliche to say like everyone, like WVU is like the mountain state that everyone is like such a big family here, but I felt that like as soon as I came on campus, and it's so invigorating that you like can't not be immersed in it. And so I immediately was like, this is my path, this is where I want to go, and I came here. And then I actually didn't join U92 until last year, my junior year. So I was working as an intern for the WVU hockey team, and I knew Anissa, shout out Anissa, she was working with me on the social media team, and I knew she worked here, and it was something that was like interesting. Like radio was like, that's so interesting, and I'd like to talk. Like my mom always told me when I was growing up, like, you can talk in circles, you should do radio. And I was like, no, like that's so scary. What do you mean? Like I can't board up, like no. And so I texted Anissa, and she was like, absolutely, like I'll put you in our Slack, join the team, do whatever you want. And so I started with socials, but then I would see the radio station, I'd be like, I want to do that. That's really cool. And so I just jumped into it. It was so scary, and I was like so intimidated at first, but it's one of my favorite parts of WVU and my college story.
Very good. And Emma, I'm going to let you take this one as well. Tell us a little bit about U92 and what it is and what you guys are doing.
So U92 is an entirely student-run radio station with our advisors, and it is broadcasted on 91.7 FM here in Morgantown, but it also goes to other surrounding counties. We have different aspects of the sports, which Nico does. They broadcast games here, and then we have our radio aspect where I think it's so cool because we have so many different personalities. Like I met someone that was a law major, and they had like a random show, but they get to pick what show they want to do, and they get to pick the music that they play, so they're curating their own playlist. And it's something that's so special because you don't hear it often. Like I don't go on the radio often, but then after joining here I was like, wait, I should listen to the radio more often because it opens you up to so much music. And I think that having this creative outlet for students is something that's so special because there's so many unique people.
So Nico, did the opportunity to get involved at the experiential learning level with the radio station as early as a freshman, did that play a role in you coming to WVU? And how do you think that impacts other student experiences here at WVU?
I think it definitely played a little bit of a role. When I first toured, I didn't really know much about the radio station. I knew there was one, and then I knew a lot about what was going on with ESPN Plus. But it was interesting because I wanted to go here, but also Ohio State. Okay. I ended up choosing here. Second I joined the radio station. I think it definitely had a bit of a, I guess, impact on what I'm able to do.
And in addition to actually being on the air, you guys as students are involved in the day-to-day running of this. So it's not just leadership, it's management. It's all the things that go with that. How has that impacted you as a student and learning?
I think it's impacted me a lot. It's made me a better person, I would say. Being around so many different people from all different avenues and walks of life, learning a lot of new things. I didn't really know a lot about leadership up until getting to West Virginia, but getting to be in this role, I've learned so much, gotten to meet a lot of really cool people, whether in the business or out of the business. I've got to meet the president the day before Halloween, just walking around campus. I've got to do so much fun, cool stuff, learn so much about leadership. It's been amazing being able to work with these people that I know 15, 20 years down the line I'm going to look at and I'm going to see them on television or calling a big game or things like that and just be like, You know, I went up with them. I was in that same area with them.
So, Emma, I want to go back to something you mentioned. So, growing up as a kid, I remember turning the, and I grew up next to my cousins who were next to my great-grandparents who were next to my grandparents. We grew up Cincinnati Reds fans, so don't hate me for that, Nico. But I remember going out, turning on the radio in my uncle's van and listening to the Reds game on the radio. You guys grew up in a whole different generation of media and how you get that. How you mentioned how the radio, being a part of the station, has changed your perspective. Do you see that changing for others in your age group and generation?
Yeah, I hope so, because I think that it's needed. I think in not just radio, but in all aspects of life, you need to widen your perspective and widen just what you are intaking in your everyday life. Because with streaming stations, you hear a lot of like what you already like and what you've already heard. But when you like allow yourself, it's literally as simple as turning on the radio. When you allow yourself just to experience something new, turn on a station you haven't listened to, like 91.7 U92, then you will widen your horizons, not only to music, but a lot of different things, because we do sports here. So it's like you can listen to a sports game and you're like driving and you're like, I would have not done this before. I would have listened to the same Taylor Swift song that I've heard 10 times in a row, but now I'm listening to the baseball game, and I think definitely it should be. I don't know. I think it's hard, especially with the kids now. Like, I think it's hard to kind of like get them away from that. But once you start having those conversations with people that like you need to widen your perspective, not just in radio, but in life, I think it's necessary.
And in your all's leadership meetings for the station and programming, do you guys talk about the significance of not just a variety of exposure to a variety of different music and sports, but are you guys also talking about programming that makes an impact on people understanding that there are different perspectives out there? There are a lot of things going on in the world that sometimes social media narrows that down and they don't get that broader exposure. Are you guys having those discussions?
I'd say so, yeah. A lot of our leadership meetings, we go around through our respective staffs, go about what's going on, scheduling things of that sort, and the music takes up a big bulk of that, and I think that's where a lot of new listeners can come in and find their niche, I guess you can say. I mean, there's a show for just about anything you can think of. You can listen to yacht rock, if you're like a 50-year-old dad, like maybe my dad is. You can listen to country, you can listen to pop, you can listen to club music, anything of the sort this station has to offer. And then with sports, we cover a lot of different ones. There's just so much here, and I think that really is able to broaden the horizons of listeners, whether you have been a long-time listener and didn't know that there's now a show about, movies and how you can listen to songs that are from maybe a movie like Guardians of the Galaxy. Or you can tune in and listen to a baseball game where West Virginia's, hitting a walk-off grand slam. It's amazing to have a station like this where there's so many different things that you can do and so many different ways that you can reach out to people, whether they listen to radio or they've never listened to radio in their life.
And just for the record, I'm a little bit older than your dad, and yacht rock is pre-programmed into my radio stations in my car. So Emma, why is it important? There's only 600 college radio stations across the country. Why is it important for WVU, land-grant institution, but also from that experiential standpoint? Why is it so important to have a radio station? And you come at it too from a perspective of, and talk about this, you're going to go into the sports marketing side of things, as we talked about earlier. How does this help you develop that skill set?
Yeah, I think it's very important. Like Nico said earlier, I didn't really know how to lead or really what I was doing when I came here to WVU. So coming to U92, starting with music and then opening my eyes to Prospect and Price, our advertising arm here, it makes you just grow as a person in so many different aspects. And that has helped me in my sports marketing career, where I know like what I really want to do. Like I fell in love with leadership, and it has made me grow so much in finding like the different aspects of it and hearing so many different perspectives, like you said, meeting so many different people. You just learn and you grow and you push yourself, because I don't think if I was here for U92, I would have been such a hard worker and wanted to do so much, because I'm like, what's next? What's next? It's always what's next. I'm seeing all of these people doing amazing things and graduating, and I'm like, okay, I want that to be me. So it's pushed me a lot to grow, not only as a leader and as a disc jockey, but as a person.
So I'm hearing from both of you guys that this experience and the ability to do this has really impacted where you guys are going to go in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, totally.
And so, Nico, can you talk a little bit about why it's so important that this is a student-led radio station, not driven? You're advised by faculty and you've got mentors that help you guys, but you guys run this thing. So why is that so important?
I think it gives us a little bit more freedom. We can experiment with things, see what works, what doesn't work. Like with these sports broadcasts, we've changed how we format these things a lot, with how many people are on, what's going on with pregame, halftime, and postgame coverage, things of that sort. We're able to tinker with a lot of things, and obviously the help from our advisors is amazing. They help us so much with figuring things out, because they have the experience that we don't have. That's the thing that they have that we don't. But we're able to tinker with things, mess around, and find what we think is best, and what really benefits the radio station. I think for the most part, we've been able to do that very well with radio, with advertising. All of student media, I think, has done a phenomenal job in recent years growing and, I guess, really making our mark in this media landscape.
And I know the At the Leadership Table podcast team is going to laugh when I ask this question, because they say I always bring everything back to national security, but 45 years of doing it, that you can't get it out of your system. But so whether it's a threat to the country or a major disaster, I believe that radio is going to play a significant role in the future, making sure that messages get out to people when they need to in difficult and uncertain times, but also in getting people back together and listening to different perspectives. So I want to ask each of you to take a couple of minutes and make your pitch to your generation and to some of my generation that have gotten away from that type of media and just spend all their time focused on social media. Make the pitch why we should start being focused on radio again.
Yeah. I think it is important because it's so easy to get lost in the same, like I said earlier, the same songs that you hear every single day. It's like the algorithm gives you what you like, what you've already heard, but when you open your eyes to a new perspective and just turn on 91.7 or any radio station, you are getting a new perspective, whether that's songs or it's our Hills and Headlines, where we are hearing news from campus. And I think that is very important for all generations, because it's so easy to just put on something that you've heard, something that you like, but when you allow yourself to open yourself up to a new perspective, then you will learn a lot more than you think you will.
Very good. And Nico, can you, from your perspective, same thing, what do you think, how do we explain to people why it's so important to have this form of media going forward?
I think because of the fact that radio, in my opinion, should and will always be here, whether we're in 100 years in the future. I think radio is still going to be something that's around. It is a bit of a dying art, but I think that's what makes it so special is, you turn on any radio station, whether it's music, whether it's a sports talk show, you're going to hear something that you haven't really heard before. And I think that's what really is the beauty of radio. You can tune in whenever you want. If you're in your car, you can tune in. You have a simple jukebox or something, you can tune in. Even on your phone, you can download a radio app, and you can tune into these different stations and find something new that you haven't heard before, or find someone that you like listening to, if a specific DJ show. I think it's important that radio is around because it builds people up, and I think some of real famous people got their start on radio. It's sort of, I guess you can say, a building block to the more wider areas of media like television, things of that sort. But radio is really where I think a lot of people get their start and where they learn most of their life lessons.
Very good. So as we close out, I'm going to ask you guys to tell our listeners where you're headed next. I know, Emma, we talked earlier, you're graduating. So tell us what your plan is after May graduation.
Yeah, I'm currently applying to jobs. I'm going to head back home to Northern Virginia. I think post-grad life is so scary. I've talked to a lot of my friends and peers about it. So I'm just in the middle of that process of apply, reach out to those people. And that's really where I'm at right now. I'm excited to go home. I coach volleyball over the summer, so that's something I'll always do. And I'm excited for my next volleyball season. But right now it's just interviews.
Very good. And Nico, what about you?
So I'm a junior. I got one more year.
You got one more year.
One more year left. This summer I plan on working once again with the West Virginia Black Bears, broadcasting all their baseball games. When it comes to next year in the future, hopefully I can get a job in broadcasting. It's a very, very competitive business. But if I can get a start somewhere with a minor league baseball team or a lower level basketball or soccer team, things like that, I think I can build it from there. It's just right now trying to do the best that I can here so then I can prepare myself for what's next.
Well, I want to tell you guys, number one, I'm impressed with both of you. I think you're two really bright, talented young people, and the things that you're doing with the radio station and the ideas you have for your future going forward, I think are great. And as I tell people, my most important job in life these days is being a grandparent, and I want to make sure that we have more young people like you focused on the future, because what you guys do and the leadership you show and the focus you give and the way you expose people on the radio to different things are going to be important to my grandson's future. So thank you guys for that. Thank you for being students at West Virginia University, and thank you for joining us at the leadership table.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for listening. This has been At the Leadership Table with retired Major General Jim Hoyer. Did you know you can now find me on social media at RMG Hoyer, that's HOYER, or email me at rmgjameshoyer@gmail.com.